right, welcome in Luke Taggert, Bond's apartment. You know him, you love him, the most handsomest. He's like the Tom Cruise of the Bond community now. Look at this handsome devil. Happy to have you
What's
on.
up, buddy? How you doing?
Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I literally like not even 2 minutes ago said to my fiance, I'm doing a podcast, so don't come in here. And just now, mid intro, she's like, "Hey, are you recording?"
Well, she
What the
can't keep
fuck?
her hands
I'm
off.
doing good.
She can't keep
Yeah,
the hands off
right.
you. She can't stop looking at that
Right.
handsome face.
Right. That's what that was. Yeah, I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
So many cool stories in the community. That's what I love doing the most, I think. More than the researching and stuff like that. I really enjoy doing these interviews and getting to meet people who are just fascinating people.
Yeah, like me.
Unbelievably. then I have other guests like Luke Taggert, who I got
just absolute idiots.
All face, no brain.
Hello. Yeah, all face, tan couch.
Well, I'm excited to do this, buddy, and I'm excited to have you because this is the creme de la creme of Fleming versus film, buddy. I mean, this is top dog, grade A material you're getting.
Yes.
Casino Royale,
my favorite.
Yeah, it is so good. The Fleming novel is so good. The Fleming, everything about this is so good. I think it is. I talk about a lot of these ones that are razor thin. The novel is so good and the film is so good, and trying to decide which one was the best. But the way that this follows, the novel and the film follow each other very well. It makes for good debates about which one was better because the little nuances is very exciting to do this. Is that kind of you? How do you feel about versus the novels versus the films?
I agree. This is the thing. I've never read any of the books until you asked me if I would do this. And I was, and it's not, this is the thing. I don't hate reading. I really don't. And if I get lost,
I told you guys, all face, no brains. But anyways.
Right. I can't read. That's the real thing. I just can't read. No, like, I mean, there's books that I read when I was a kid that have stuck with me to this day. True.
Where the Red Fern Grows?
And then no, it's Everybody Poops. No, it's like one of them actually in particular is Castle in the Attic. Did you ever read that one? Castle in
I did not. No.
It's like a kid like, and I'm gonna butcher this, but basically goes into his attic in his house that he's never been into. I think he was like scared of it for a while and went in there and found like a castle, and then basically created this whole story centered around this like toy castle. And then it goes, it's kind of like very Princess Diaries. You know, it's kind of like a kid reading a book. It's like a book within a book. It's kind of like that. But I was glad you asked me to do this, and I got to choose Casino Royale. And I got to tell you, after reading it, man, it's kind of like there's bits and pieces where I was like, damn, I wish this was in the film. Yeah. And then
what surprised you about the film? What surprised you about the novel? Because when I first read the novels, I was surprised at the darkness of them. I thought they would be a little more fluffier. I didn't expect them to be so gritty. What was something that surprised you the first time you read your first Fleming novel?
That's number one. That's you hit the nail on the head. The darkness, and that's the thing. You know, I know that some of the films are not even as close to as dark as the novels are, where Casino Royale's got it's got its darkness in it for sure. But just like, you know, I mean, and I'm sure we'll get into it, like the suicide thing with Vesper, you know, and I mean, and my other thing is the excruciatingly great detail Fleming goes into, like the brass rail he's hanging onto. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just like things like that, you can just literally picture it. And that's what draws me in. You know, it's got to be descriptive. I need to be able to really paint a picture. And I will say it's very difficult to not just picture Daniel Craig as Bond while you're reading it. You know what I mean? Which might be like a hindrance, but yeah, so those two things.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to get into this. So we're going to have 10 topics that we're going to discuss, and then we're going to vote which one you like better. And then at the end, we're going to have the overall, which one you like better, Fleming or film. So let's get into the first thing we're going to talk about, which is the opening scene. Let's talk about the opening scene, the iconic first line of Casino Royale, the novel. The scent and smoke and sweat of a casino are nauseating at 3 a.m. Then the soul erosion produced by high gambling, a compost of greed and fear and nervous tension, becomes unbearable, and the senses awake and revolt from it. I mean, welcome to James Bond, right?
Right. Right. I mean, that's a perfect example of the detail, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I had heard a long time ago that the best part about, or I'm butchering this too. It's basically like if you want to be a good writer, your first line needs to be the best hook,
Mhm.
and everything else from there can basically be shit if you want it to be, as long as you can hook the writer with the first sentence. And that's one right there where you're just like, I need to find out what's going on in this casino
Yeah.
and why does it smell like that?
You know what?
You know what I mean?
There was this Indian reservation. I'm from way upstate New York, and there was this Indian reservation that had this like dive little casino playing with the slots and stuff. And
Mm,
you go to Vegas now, it's so spiced up and so corporate now.
right,
Even Fremont Street,
right.
I went in 2010 in
Oh yeah,
Fremont Street. It was way darker than it is now. Now I feel like I'm in Mall of America when I go to Fremont Street. It's
yep,
completely lost its
yep.
grit. But I remember this Indian reservation had this little casino thing, and I remember going in there, and it just smelled of cigarette smoke and sweat and shame and
Mm-hmm.
just this,
Shame,
yeah, just sweat, shame, and despair.
despair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And reading that first line took me back to that, and that's how I kind of imagine it being, because casinos back in the time were not a place where you brought your family. They were not place. This
right.
was adult time. This was dark adult time, and I
Yeah.
love that opening line. It's just perfection,
So
right?
good.
And then
So
you talk
good.
about the movie. You got so much good stuff about the movie. I'm gonna
Hmm.
consider the opening scene, not only the pre-title sequence, but we're gonna go right into the Madagascar. Well, let's
Okay.
put both of it into it. So in the book, we've got he's in the casino, he's planning to rob it, he's looking into the sheaf, he's checking the toilets, and he finds things in the toilet bulb and stuff like that.
Right.
Versus the film, where do you think did it better as far as setting it up, not just the first line, but setting up what you're going to have for the rest of the whole movie?
Um, I would say the novel did it better just because it's like on brand
Yeah.
with what it's about. But this, I mean, that's the thing. It's weird because, you know, I was definitely of age to be reading these things before these films came out.
Mhm.
This, Casino Royale and things like that. So to have read it after, truly for the first time, you start to think like, why did they make these changes? Why wasn't
Mhm.
this in the film? Why wasn't it? And they're trying to establish like, the more of the terrorist angle with Le Chiffre rather
Mhm.
than like the French, whatever he was doing. I mean, I guess it's both terrorist cells, but this is more like modern day terrorism. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like versus back then, it was kind of more. There was like a lot more espionage involved and a lot of discretion and you know what I mean? There's no internet, there's no phones, you don't know who's who. There's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're kind of trying to like appeal to what's relevant. But I mean, I don't know, maybe they just thought in the film like that'd be just a little too much casino time.
Yeah. I
You know what
think
I
that you're
mean?
trying to balance of what's going to be visually pleasing versus what's going to be
Right.
imaginative pleasing. And I
Right.
think that what the film did is I actually like the film setting more because I think that after reading so many novels, he does this a lot of time with the darkness, so it doesn't really feel that unique. Whereas the
Right.
film, the parkour chase, the embassy blow
Right.
up, the show that he's running through walls rather than jumping over them, you've got a sense that this
Hmm.
is a more badass Bond than we've seen before, and the
Right.
brutality of that scene where he's drowning him in the sink.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, how did he die? Not well. Are you a double
Yeah.
O?
I mean,
That was
that's a good point too, because I think if you were to start this off in the casino, I think everyone would just be like, okay, so you get this new
yeah,
Bond, and everyone gave him so much shit for being blonde and all whatever,
wear the life
and
jacket.
then you're right, right, and then you're in long hair, and then you're starting it off basically just like Doctor No. So you're
Mhm.
kind of like, what separates him so far?
Yeah,
Because
Goldeneye
it,
started
it
the same way. He started in a
right,
casino.
right, right, yeah. So I mean, it's like if you're trying to separate the actor and the films and try to make them, there's a darkness there, but that's the thing though. There's a difference between darkness and then being a badass, and they were
Mhm.
trying to do both. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So I think that the novel did a good job of showing the despair of the situation, but I think the film did a better job of showing both. He's gritty, he's dark, and he's badass. He runs through walls. So for me,
Yep.
I'm gonna vote film on this one. What are you gonna go with?
I mean, personally, I like the film better, but I will say for continuity purposes, I'll go novel with it.
Novel. All
For
right.
for
All
setup
Woo!
wise, I'll go novel
The
with it.
first ballot has been cast. There's no hanging chads. They are
Yep.
affirmative.
Oh for
All
one.
right. All right. Now let's get into. We're gonna go to Le Chiffre's plot. So we're going to talk the differences between Le Chiffre's plot. So in Le Chiffre, in the novel, it was that he was running a prostitution ring, and
Right.
he had other profitable businesses, but he was such a womanizer that he wanted a endless supply of women for himself. Right. So he got greedy. So then he put out all these prostitution houses, and then France made prostitution illegal. So it basically bankrupted him.
Yep.
And now he was desperate for money because he was in with Smersh, and now he owed money because of Smersh.
I hate that fucking name. Oh my god, I hate
it does.
that.
It's so unaesthetically pleasing. Like it doesn't
especially
roll off the
in the
tongue,
audiobook.
Right?
The chief worked for Smersh.
Smersh. Oh, there's a couple. There's
what
a couple,
happened to my?
Yeah, there's a couple of the audiobooks that really make some of the guys who read it really accentuate that Smersh. It's just really bad. Whereas in the film, you've got that he's dealing weapons, and then he's trying to manipulate stocks, and then he loses it that way.
Right.
Talk about where you think the strengths and weaknesses of either plot line for that.
So this is, you know, we talk about this all the time, and I hope it doesn't, you know, it's not a dead horse thing, but it's just the time the novel was written. I mean, you 2006, you're talking about how he's got 15 brothels. You know, most people won't even know what a brothel is. And then, you know what I mean?
What are one of those brothels? I didn't. I've never seen one of those.
What is that? Like 8-year-olds like, oh, brothel, I haven't been there. My dad's been. What? But yeah, it's like so I think there's that, obviously. And then same thing, you know, it's what's hip now is, you know, the weapons arms dealing, and I shouldn't say hip, that's the wrong word, but you know what I mean? It's what's going on now. It's the relevancy, but I think with the novel, it was way more mysterious. I liked that aspect of the novel. It was creepy almost. You know, it was like he just completely operating in the shadows. He was, you know, the point's the same. He was wealthy, lost money, you know what I mean? Or he's gambling with other people's money or doing whatever he can to make himself profitable with other people's money. But I don't know. The brothel thing was interesting to me.
I agree. I like that, and I gave that a check. And you know, you're talking about the 1950s, and he's talking about, you know, whorehouses and stuff like that. That's right. It's something almost refreshing to hear about that, because there is this seedy aspect of life that's still here today, and it's not really talked about very much, only in passing about the sex trafficking and stuff like that. But there are real places that have very much these houses, and you know, even when I went to one because I did a search warrant for one. And I went in, and you walked in, and there were all these houses. There were all these rooms inside this. It looked like a front for a store, but you went upstairs, and there were different rooms set up. They're all there. And then we went to the secret back room, and we had to smash through it. And you go on there, and there were 30 TVs.
Like dolls. Oh.
TVs. And they were broadcasting everything that happened, I'm sure unbeknownst to the Johns that came in there, all over the world. And these type of seedy places are still there. So when you hear about it talked about, you hear about these people, you have disdain for this person. So you read about this person, Le Chiffre, and you understand. And at first, he's just an arms weapon dealer for money, which makes him a shitty person dealing arms, but it doesn't make you really understand how grotesque this person is. Right. Whereas you hear about someone that is running these sex traffic prostitution houses and claiming for themselves, you really begin to already set the stage that you are going to loathe this person. And it sets up, I think, better for the end when he talks about his good versus evil plot, and just having to understand morality and ethics in that battle. I just think that the novel sets that up more beautifully. And I have much more of a disdain for Le Chiffre, knowing about his plot in that versus that.
Yeah. And the weird thing is too, like, as far as doing that in the film, I think sex trafficking or brothels, and like I hear brothel from back then, and I just think like Godfather, mafioso, like just another like form of laundering money and things like that. And of course, it's where the money's at, whatever. If they were to do some sort of sex trafficking thing in 2006, especially if it was today, it's not, you know, you've really taken a dark turn on a film.
You'd have to almost put that on like a series for some kind of other service, because you're not putting a movie out like that or anything that's
Right.
going to have broad base to deal with that kind of darkness.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, so after weighing the pros and cons, which part do you like better, the film
I
or
like the novel. I like the novel with this one too.
me too. I'm absolutely going with the novel, and that it absolutely sets it up better. The only problem with the novel is, if you guys hear the audiobook for this on Amazon, the guy who reads it does this Lashif voice that is just, how would you describe it?
It's like, well, I mean, of course, you know, this is where the movie comes in again. You just picture Mads Mikkelsen, and then he does. I was listening to it literally this morning again, just to really listen to that. It was like,
My dear boy.
yeah. It was like, he
what
like I would rather listen to him say smersh for
Yeah.
4 hours than that.
It's just
And like
so
even
bad.
his Vesper impression sometimes, like
Yeah.
he would literally go into Vesper and he'd be like, oh, she's like, well, I have two choices for my meal. And then he'd say something else and she'd be like, and I'm just like, what? Where's the consistency here, dude? Like
Yeah.
first, and she wasn't like in distress for that second one. You know what I mean? He was like, because it was like chapter 8 or 9 when he's talking about telling her to order, and he's like, how does he say it? He's like, some like almost like order as if you're a millionaire or something, and he's like, I don't want you to disappoint that frock or whatever. And when she's like, oh, I have two choices, and then once he says something else, she's like, well, you know, I love thee. And I'm just like, who the fuck? Who's this now?
Has this guy ever met a woman?
Like, what are we doing?
Has this guy ever met a woman before?
Who's this? Like, yeah, it's like he, she thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yes, we're gonna go. Not gonna hold that against them though. But just as a point, people, whoever is listening to the audiobook is probably sitting here screaming at the TV or screaming at their podcast as they listen to big. Yes, oh my god, thank you guys for saying it.
Terrible.
But we are the advocates for the same things you guys are thinking. So I'm going to get into the setup as we get in further. We got when he talked about working with someone, he first gets the idea and he starts setting up with masses. In the film, it's not that much about the math is set up and all that, but in the novel, it kind of does. And he talks about, I hope they don't send one stupid, or worse yet, ambitious. How do you feel about, again, the strengths and weaknesses of the setup before we're getting into the counter? When M's in there, talking about the plot and talking about the setup.
So I liked that because for starters, just the whole, basically they kind of give you kind of like a synopsis, which you need because there's a lot of moving parts. So I like that. And I liked that line, that better yet, ambitious line, because it shows in the film, they do different things to show how blunt instrument he is and how rough around the edges he is. And in the novel, they do it with something like that. You know, he starts off in a casino. You just picture him in a tuxedo or something, making all kinds of money, which he is. And they're saying that. And then basically just having his way with all these tables he's playing and just making as much money as he wants. So yeah, I like the ambitious line because I think it kind of gives a sense of his arrogance as a character and as like a new 00 and as like the beginning of Bond type thing. Yeah, I just think it's the novel's way of showing his like naivete and kind of like, this person's just going to slow me down or get me killed type of thing, which in the film they do that by, he never really has that aspect at all, but they show how rough and blunt instrument he is by doing other things, the smashing through the walls and
when he breaks into M's office, is brazen. I took it too as, if you ever worked with someone who's overeager, right? I mean, let's say you're doing your job, you're doing it for a long time, and you understand that there are certain steps you take and there's a certain precautions you take, and we get through there. And some people get on there and they're so eager to do something that they end up doing more harm than good. So I appreciate that line a lot. And then in the film, more Mattis he's not really used as well as he is in the novel. I don't think. I think they kind of use him as a very periphery character, and they don't really flesh him out. And we're going to kind of combine the two because I think they coincide. But the feelings you have about Mathis, how they use it in the Munces, things like that. The Munces are upstairs and they have the microphones in the room already.
Right.
things like that. When you compare it to, which one do you think did it better as far as the Mathis and everything else, and Mathis himself?
Yeah. So I'll say I like that's that just shows how that was old school Bond film.
Mm,
Like the Doctor No, the ripping the hair out of his head and putting it
yeah.
on the closet or whatever, like checking out the room. Like we never saw Bond Daniel Craig do anything like that. And that was like what they thought a confidant was supposed to do at the time, just kind of, and which he does do in the film. He does with like the chief of police,
Mhm.
aka Michael G. Wilson, who plays that part. And having the two guys in his trunk when he makes the phone call.
Yeah.
They play through for that aspect, it's similar. But and correct me if I'm wrong, unless I missed this, they don't make him a subject of suspicion at all in the novel, correct?
No, no.
Yeah. So when they did that in
When
the
he says,
film,
yeah, when he goes, your friend Mathis is my friend Mathis, there was
yeah,
never any of that in the
right,
book.
right. So, and then of course, huge plot hole once they go to Quantum. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they ended Casino Royale with Mathis being a traitor, and then
Mhm.
just in between films, like, fuck that. He's a nice guy and
And
he's
you
a
got a
good
house
actor.
now.
Let's bring him back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, so I think I'd say the novel did it better with consistency. But I like the way they did it in the film with the things that he helped with. I think he
Okay.
was more helpful in the film than he was in the novel, if that makes sense.
So what are we picking for? You got to give me a solid side here.
I'll go film. I'll go film
Film.
with this one. I'll do film.
Okay. I like
The
where
way you were looking at me, I was like, what did I say? I said something wrong. He's like,
no,
man,
no,
this
no.
isn't in the novel. You didn't read it, did you?
No. You made a lot of good points. And I see what you mean with the calling of that. I just found that the way they used Mathis, and I understand that it's a film and they're trying to move things along, right?
Right.
But I think they kind of made Mathis more cheeky in
Mm-hmm.
the film as opposed to the novel. So I'm going to go with the novel because I like that it's
Okay.
more of him being ally in the Desembalu versus uh,
Yeah.
versus the cheeky Mathis. Ah, you've got bodies in the trunk kind of thing.
Right. I mean,
I'm
it's
gonna
hard
go.
to do because the novel's so good. It's
Yeah,
just so damn good. So it's
yeah.
hard to go against it, but we got to do it for variety's sake, right?
We got to do the hard
That's
task,
the whole
buddy.
point.
All right.
Nobody
So,
knows that Donnie's texting me as we go along. He's saying, go novel this time. Like, oh shit. Okay. I mean novel. Sorry.
incorrect answer. All right. Fourth, Vesper meeting. The first
Mm,
time the Vesper sits down.
yep.
Now, I, I, for me, the film, I think it's my favorite scene of just dialogue in the
Mhm.
entire Bond series. So,
100%.
yeah, I mean, let's get into the strength of witnesses. Vesper comes in the first meeting. Go for it.
Um, so yeah, I mean, as far as the film goes, I agree with you completely. It's a scene that I've had memorized since 2006. It's unbelievable in every way. There's not a single thing about that scene that's not written perfectly. I've
Even
heard
when he
people
says, even when he says, "How is the lamb skewered?"
skewered.
I
Yeah.
mean,
One
I
sympathizes.
yeah.
So good. So fucking good.
It is.
Unbelievable.
You cannot have better writing than that. I don't think.
No. And that's where, side note, sometimes the Bond films get a bad rap, come award season and stuff like that. But I mean that, yeah, what a line. And just
Because
her
Don't Look Up,
attitude.
like even this year. I mean, if you're telling me that No Time to Die wasn't better than Don't Look Up, you're crazy.
I
And I
know.
wasn't even
I
a
know.
big No Time to Die fan, but Don't Look Up was one of the what was a pathetic movie, I thought.
There's critics, critically speaking, you didn't even do half as well as No Time to Die. But
Yeah.
it's got, everybody who's anybody in that film. So they're, how they are. But
Yeah. And The House of Gucci, also horrendous film. But
yeah,
anyways,
all
digress.
they've done is shit on House of Gucci for months and months and months. And I actually, side note again, went to see The Sopranos live. Those three guys, Michael Imperioli and a couple of the other ones, like tour.
Mhm.
And we went and saw them. And someone in the audience was like, "What do you think of House of Gucci?" And Michael Imperioli, who still has a pretty good career, and his publicist was probably like, well, the other two were like, that fucking movie was so dumb. Oh my God, their accents were, and Michael Imperioli's like, I haven't seen it. Anyways,
but
but yeah, so
the
I
writing
think,
was amazing.
yes, the writing was fantastic. And I will say the novel meeting was also good. She just wasn't as equal in the way she behaved to him
Yeah.
as she is in the film. And we know Fleming had an issue with writing women sometimes and whatever. But yeah, so I just thought, as far as the film, I mean, you can't, if you choose novel here, just nuts. But I didn't hate the novel meeting, but
I
the
agree.
train and everything, it was just so different. It was so much better in the film. Really
I,
was.
I agree. So when I read the novel, I was like, oh, this is good. It's a good meeting. You set it up better.
Hmm.
But I mean that no matter what I'm doing, sometimes I'll have Casino Royale in the background. But if it gets to that scene, I'm sitting down and I'm watching that entire scene every time because it is a standout piece. And
Yep.
yes, I think anyone would be crazy not to pick the film on this one. So
Even
I am
just
going.
when she gets up and leaves and he looks at her and he just kind of goes like,
Damn.
he's like, fuck, what just happened?
I think
Like
I
it's
love you.
too
So what am I
good.
so
It's too good.
afraid of?
Yeah. Come back here and kiss me, baby.
All right, film. All right, buddy.
Film.
2-2. Both of us. We are tied. It's
Nice.
getting razor thin.
Yeah. It's
One
gonna
that I
change.
always this is one that I always like to go because I've done a few of these now and they never get this right. And it bothers me every time. And because I want my American representative in the Bond films to be good. Felix
Right.
Leiter. Come on. What are they doing? Film versus novel. Tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly between the novel and the film. Felix Leiter.
So from an audiobook standpoint, he's a southern white guy.
Yeah.
um,
I reckon I like
yeah,
cards.
he's like, yeah, listen here, Bond, do you? Listen here,
Here,
Jim.
Blondie.
Listen here, Bondo. So okay, so I will go novel with it only because he's more present in the novel. And the issue I have with the film is you've got a fantastic actor in Jeffrey Wright, which we also kind of found out recently that he and Daniel Craig had worked together once or twice before that, and which is probably why he even got cast. But not that he's not a great actor, but it's they've done this throughout the Craig films. You get these great actors and you don't utilize them properly.
Yeah.
He had like 3 lines and one
And
of them pulled the
they were
fruit.
lame.
Yeah, pulled the
Brother from
fruit.
Langley. Brother from
Yeah,
Langley.
brother from
I
Langley.
hate and he kept doing that. I
Like,
couldn't
yeah,
stand it. And
the
in
hold the
the
fruit thing pisses me off.
oh
Like at least he had all kinds of shit to say in the novel. So I'll go novel with it just because he was more, and this is where it's difficult too, because the novel is from the 50s or 60s,
mhm.
whatever. It's like he was more Dr. No, actual someone he has a conversation with, is someone who's in the film, someone who contributes in some way in the novel. So I'd go novel with that.
Yeah, I think it's hands down because when you get to read the later novels, Felix Leiter has a genuinely large part in all of the films,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
all the novels. I'm sorry, and there is a genuine friendship that I don't think ever really they even try to portray until No Time to Die. Do they even try to actually get into a valid friendship,
Right.
buddy, and they make fun of each other a lot. In the novel,
Hmm.
there's this very much sarcastic, making fun of each other, joking on each other all the time, that
Right.
I think adds a lot to it. Humanizes Bond more. There's so much about Bond in the novels that's not human. Having a genuine friend or someone that he actually enjoys or hangs out with, or a buddy that works. And Bill Tanner never is that in the films, even though they try to do that a little bit
Right.
sometimes. It never really
Right.
comes off right, and they've never done it right in any of the films. So again, for me, hands down, novel goes for Felix Leiter. We are at 3-2.
Novel.
3-2. All right. Here's another close one. I don't think it's actually that close. I think it's probably going to be an easy one for you. But the
Yeah.
card game. I'm going to go the whole card game versus using
Okay.
Baccarat versus Texas Hold'em. The way the card game plays out, all the drama that happens, the stick gun versus the poison Vesper Martini, the way he does it. Let's go into strength and witnesses, film, novel, card game.
I prefer poker over baccarat because I mean baccarat's confusing as shit. Oh my god.
It's just lame.
Like
It's just a
wow.
boring. There's no skill to it. You
No, and that's yeah. He
you're
literally even
just
says it in
guessing.
the novel. It's
Yeah,
about going on a run. That's
yeah.
basically it.
I hope to get a
And that
9.
he and that how yeah, and him and the dealer had the same odds. I was like, okay, well, I mean, so is blackjack, but at least in blackjack, you can kind of like just you know what I mean. You if you know basic strategy in blackjack, you've already got better odds than the dealer does.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd go poker, and that's one thing I would change. The novel does a very good job of um, going into detail. Obviously, the weird thing I thought was the gun to his back, falling off the chair thing, just like mid game.
Yeah,
It's
like who we
just
know
like,
that
and then he
nobody
just like goes
that
on
would
to
just
win that
yeah.
hand or whatever. Yeah, like
You're trying to picture
the
it as you
fuck
read
off.
it.
Yeah. I'm just yeah, like,
And
and I
he's
was just like
whispering in
that.
his
I
ear, like
just
nobody sits there and goes, "Hey, why is that guy whispering in the ear?" When like,
I
no,
know, I
no one
know, and
thought the
this is the thing
question.
too. So I read the book, listened to the book, and then read a few different synopses of it and watched Calvin Dyson's review of it. So I got a bunch of different and when you read like the synopsis of it or like the summary, literally it's like then Bond's at the table, he's playing Baccarat, somebody comes up to him, puts a gun behind his back, he falls off the chair, gets back up, wins the hand. I'm like, what the fuck?
It doesn't.
Like, could you imagine being at like Motor City or MGM or something? We'll say like Caesars in Vegas, and you're just sitting there and somebody tries to shoot you, and you just turn around and you're like, hey, wait a minute. And then you just like hit blackjack and you're like, oh, cool. Color up, please. And then you go and like kill him. Like, I
Yeah,
don't,
it doesn't make any
you know what I
sense.
mean? So
Yeah,
I think the like, and they do it similar in the film where it's like, there's a long process with the game, and in between there's different attempts on his life, never really at the table aside from like the poisoning of the drink. But
yeah,
I'd say the film does it in a more realistic way. I think that's when the darkness kind of came out of the book and got like a little odd.
yeah. I think he tried to
You
add a
know what I
little
mean?
drama in there, and he's doing a countdown in French and all that stuff in the novel. Versus, yeah, I
Yeah.
think the film crushes this. I think the film far bettered that whole scenario.
Yeah.
So for me, hands down, film crushes it. Um,
Yeah. And
it is a little,
that's just another thing too, though, for some of the things we've talked about as far as why things are different. That just goes to show you right there. Texas Hold'em was huge in 2006.
mhm, yeah,
So they changed, you know what I mean? So they just that was the theme with that film. Whatever was relevant, they
yeah.
changed it to.
Yep. And I think that it was a much needed because I don't think you have that same you can't get the same tension of Baccarat because literally, like I said, in luck. And side note,
Yeah.
if you ever read the novel and then go watch Goldeneye, Baccarat him and Xenia are playing plays out exactly the way that Lashif and Bond do
Really?
in the yep.
Okay.
So
I'll have to do that.
next time you're watching Goldeneye, you'll see the Baccarat game plays out the
Yeah.
same as it does in Casino Royale. All right, 3 to
Yeah.
3. We're tied. We're tied. Let's get on. All right, let's get on. The chase is on. All right.
Okay.
In the novel, Vesper gets a note. Mathis needs her. In the film, she gets the text. Mathis needs. From there, let's go for the strengths and weaknesses. Fleming versus Phil.
Oh man, this is I think might be one of the hardest ones
Mhm.
because you know in the film you've got just the most beautiful car, you've got the suspense. I mean, it's difficult because you got the accompaniment of the score and in the Guinness World Record for most
Yeah.
flips in a car, you know, and then the way he's got her tied on the road, and then in the film or in the novel, it's spike strips, right? He hits a spike strips, and that's what causes the
Yeah.
accident. Um, I will say Fleming did a fantastic job with building the hype in the chase. And I'm sure he probably set out to do that. You know what I mean? He was probably
Mhm.
like, I need a great chase scene in here. This has got to be a huge pivotal part of this novel. It's just so it's almost unfair to compare the two because there's no score and there's no visuals for something so visually important.
Mhm.
So I'll have to just go film with it just to be kind of like a dick, I
Going straight
guess.
film.
You know,
Well, I'll definitely
that's the only reason
say
I could give. Even though it's like if the chase is so good in the novel, it is. It really is.
here's how I'll break it down. I'll say that the film I enjoy listening to Bond's thoughts as he's chasing, right? So we don't get that in that's the advantage that the novel has over the film that
Right.
when we're watching it, all we're seeing is the action and hearing the score. In the novel, we're actually hearing his thoughts, and his thoughts are very contemptuous towards Vesper. He's like, "This silly
Hmm.
game and this stupid bitch gets me caught up in this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to chase it for a
Right.
little bit, and if I don't get her, she dies. That's on her. She knew the game she was playing." He's very much
Right.
angry again because he was. You see that a lot. You see the theory, the same theme a lot in Bond, is that he lets his guard down. He starts enjoying himself, and in those moments he's weak. And the minute he's weak, then he gets taken advantage of. Enjoy listening to that play out, and I enjoy the way that the film plays out. And you get a sense of who he is and why he didn't want a woman on the adventure, because not only does he think they're hindrance, but he knows himself and he knows that he can get caught up in that. However, the
Right.
visual of everything that goes along with the film, the flips, the score, the car, the Aston Martin is just, I mean, gorgeous. Which have you got to sit in Zaritsky's, right?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. I went for a ride in it. Yeah.
How did you fit in it? Because I I
Oh,
was
I
a
fit. You know me. I
I
mean,
was
I fit
a,
fine. You're a freaking monster. And I've
I
even
was
said this too. We took a picture together at Gatherall, and I was like, unless it's Donnie's birthday, this picture's not going on fucking public. I look like a child.
I was so
Like,
disappointed I didn't fit in it, and I was trying to take a picture. I literally looked like a can of croissant, like before when you bake them in,
yeah,
you pop the
a little
top, it's going
Pillsbury
out. Yeah,
Doughboy.
a little doughboy action happening. I was very disappointed, but that
Yeah.
car is so gorgeous.
Hmm.
So for that, I don't think you're a dick at all for picking the film. I'm sticking with you, film for that one.
Oh, good, good. I
I'm
mean, and
going
the
right
thing
with.
is too, you kind of had a good point there. And it's like in the beginning of the novel, he makes it very clear he doesn't want anybody with him. And
Mhm.
then when he's chasing this person, he's very pissed that he has to. In the film, he does not, you can tell he's excited that she's there.
Yeah,
And then when he's chasing her, you can tell he's legitimately worried.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's once again a completely opposite theme.
yes,
But Fleming does a great job of sticking with that theme as like she's a burden, you
yes.
know.
I reluctantly vote for the film because I enjoy the fact that storyline. He's like, I can't believe I'm stuck with this bitch,
Hmm.
and then
Reluctant is right. Yeah.
and then it comes full circle. It's like, this is why I didn't. This is why I knew this was going to happen, and he's
Right.
mad at himself. He's mad at the situation, and it almost feels disingenuous when he's like, "Oh, I'll let her die." It almost feels that, yeah, he's saying that to himself, but he actually does care, because if he really didn't care, he wouldn't be chasing her
No.
down.
No.
So it's very much a conflict of everything that he's feeling and all the emotions that he's felt in
Right.
that time. But
Right.
that being said, there's nothing like watching that car scene. That's
Hmm.
just in the Aston Martin. So
I
rather than
know.
the
I
Citron,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all right, we are
Could have at
four to.
least used the Bentley. Like, come on here.
I know.
What are you
Yeah, there's
doing?
something. All right, so we are at 4-3 now. Capture happens. They're being brought back. He's in the villa.
Hmm.
The chair.
Yep.
Strengths and
I
weaknesses. Let's
mean,
go.
this is probably one of the most shot for shot things here
Yeah.
that we've got. So I'll just go novel and I'll explain why, but I'll go novel because this incredible scene in the film wouldn't exist if it wasn't from the novel for the novel. And the novel does it so well that they basically pretty much copied it, aside from the fact that it's a Smersh agent that comes in and kills Lashif.
My dear
God, hate
boy.
it. Yeah. Listen here, oh boy, I'm gonna
Listen now,
die
boy.
today.
My dear
Um,
boy.
I think the novel for this one, because you've of course with Daniel Craig, you get the visual of just how immaculate of shape he's in.
Mhm.
And and you see like Lashif is like disheveled and sweating and the enjoyment he's getting out of it, but also like the fear that
He's
you can
panicked.
just see it on his face.
He's,
Yeah.
he's
But the
desperate.
novel does a good job of conveying that.
Yeah.
It's very descriptive. And yeah, when I read and heard this part, I was like, wow, this is like shot for shot. So I'll go novel just because it's the original, and it's so well done that you can't stray from it.
You know, I gotta tell you, I was gonna go film before I heard your reasoning, but you know what? I'm gonna go with novel. The same thing, I think,
Oh
because
yeah.
you know what? They didn't change anything. I mean, there's a couple
Yeah.
extra throwaway lines in there. You're forever
Right.
gonna know you scratched my balls. I mean, that
Right.
wasn't added, but the way that they did it in the wicker chair and the cutting, I mean, the film did it flawlessly.
Hmm.
They put the dark. They could have screwed that scene up.
Right.
So I will give the film credit for doing that perfectly,
Yeah.
but they followed the novel almost to a T. And
Right.
that whole thing in the screaming and the worry about your manhood and all that other stuff.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'll go with the novel. The only thing again that bothers me is I'm sure it's more. I mean, I did read the book too. So the first time it didn't bother me reading the book, but hearing the audiobook, him say, "My dear boy," he
Uh-huh.
does it. Another thing, if you ever, when you read From Russia with Love, he does the same thing with Red Grant. Red Grant kept saying, calling him old man, and it bothers him. It annoys the hell out of him that he keeps calling him
Yeah.
old man. And in Lashif, he uses the same thing, my dear boy. So I think it almost, Fleming tries to portray these people as not only lascivious and disgusting, but also just annoying. Like,
Yeah.
and these annoying, just
Like
horrible people.
bullies.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
are just annoying. And there's somebody you don't even want to be around.
Right.
So I like that they do that, but I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna join the novel because look, if you didn't even have to change it at all, you went script for script and did it. Even though I did it perfectly, uh, go with the novel. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
4-4. There's only two left that we're gonna get into. So
This is
this is
good.
a good one. This is a
This
good
is
one.
good. I'm gonna have to try to read you on these next ones. You go. How about this? The last two, you go first.
Okay, I can do
Let's
that.
see if that changes anything.
All right, I will go. So we got the ninth one, and this is the recovery. Right, he gets rescued. Smurfs comes in and kills him. We probably should have gone into that a little bit for the chair, but
Yes.
it goes. This is the same thing. He
Mm-hmm.
walks in,
Mm-hmm.
shoots him in the head, calls it a day. They don't really change anything. But then recovery, he
Yep.
gets back, and um, I really enjoy how the novel goes into Bond trying to pontificate about good versus evil, right? And he has this long, long thing where he's talking to Mathis, and he reflects on the fact that Lashif says that he's playing Red Indians, right? And that really stuck with him because at that point he felt like I have done all these things and I'm trying this, and what am I doing it for? I'm just playing Red Indians for kings, right? I am
Right.
just doing all these things, and where's my morality? And he says that he feels sorry for the devil and his disciples because they haven't been given a fair chance, right? I mean, the good has their book. They have God who's a clear image. He's a bearded man, and he comes down, and then you got the Bible, and you got all these books about how it's good, and the devil doesn't have that thing. So you grow up wanting to kill villains and heroes, and then there's a great line that they use again in No Time to Die that all the heroes and the villains get mixed up at some point, and then patriotism comes and saves the day. Bond talks about, and
Right.
that whole, what am I doing this for? What am I risking my body for? What am I killing myself for? What am I doing? What am I killing other people for? Even, and he wrestles with this idea of morality, and I think that that's something that a young double O would have to have. You've killed people now, and you're having to deal with where my sense of morality is, and
Yep.
uh, for that, and for as opposed to the recovery where Bond's there in the film and they come and stun Mathis, take him away, and it's just they go and he's wondering, you're more of a man than my little finger or whatever. He's like, that's because you don't know
Mhm.
what I can do with my little finger, and then I
Right.
have
Right.
dug up.
That
They
bone.
never once talk about that morality, and I'm a big nerd about philosophizing about
Yeah.
good and evil and ethics and like that. I really enjoy those types of discussions, especially with someone like Bond who is killing people in all these situations. And eventually you have to wrestle with your own morality. So for me, if I'm going to vote, the novel crushes it. And I love his views on good and evil, patriotism, and then having the guys of or patriotism to be like, look, I don't even have to decide if what I'm doing is good or evil because it's for the queen,
Right.
right? Now, how many times can you rely on that when you're killing people that you don't even really know why you're killing them just because it's on orders? Can
Right.
patriotism always save the day for your own morality? And I love that discussion.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Maybe you shouldn't go first. Fuck. Yeah. I mean, so I agree. I agree. And I'll tell you why. So everybody had a huge problem in No Time to Die with Bond doing something for a woman and for a kid.
Yeah.
And that's not Bond. Let's start with Casino Royale. He makes all these decisions based on love for a woman, not
Yeah.
for his own morality. And that dialogue, the inner dialogue he has, the one he has with Mathis in the novel, they don't touch on that at all. in the film
No,
at all.
don't touch it.
And you kind of sit there and you think, okay, so in the novel, he's got this attitude towards working with people, and then all these attempts on his life, and it kind of shows this degenerate, gambler and smoker and drinker and all this different shit he's doing. And then someone who's working with him, someone who's also for Queen and Country, gets taken, and he's got like, oh god damn it, like come on, you've got to be kidding me. Like if I can't find her, she's whatever, she's dead, whatever, blah 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 blah. And then he makes this like moral, after almost losing his life and all these things he goes through, then he starts to question, why am I doing this? That is a reason somebody in that position, I think, would question that. Whereas it's like, you meet this woman, you've only known her for like 3 days, and then
Yeah.
you're like willing to quit and sail around the world. But it's like you're so quick to be like, my friend Mathis or your friend Mathis or whatever, and all this, and get rid of him and get rid of this person. So it's like there's still this like, I don't trust anybody thing, and yet you trust her so much to literally quit your job, not question anything you're doing, and then, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
The novel plays it in a more realistic way, I think.
Yeah. I think that the novel, and he does this theme a lot. So the idea that Bond never does things for women is not true, because he does this even maybe with the Connery is much cold, but in the novel he's not. And he does
Right.
this a lot, or he'll meet someone new and he'll have this inner dialogue. Could I marry her? And I think he uses women as an escape of the environment that he has, and almost a longing for a normal life. He's in this crazy thing where he's got all these people trying to kill him. He's killing people. He's being sent all over the world. He's constantly battling. He's constantly infiltrating these dark, deep places. And I think sometimes he sees a woman and he romanticizes and he thinks about his escape. But in the novels, almost all the time, he's snapped back out of it, right? He lets himself go into these little wandering ideas of what it would be like to be married and have kids and all that stuff. And he thinks about it, and he snaps back and he says, look, this isn't who I am. This isn't the job I do. Maybe if I didn't have this job where I go around killing people, I would entertain it, but I can't in this. And I think this was the time, and this sets the tone, I think, for everything else. And I think Judi Dench sends it very well. Is like, good, you've learned your lesson. And what I really like to, it'll go back after the death of Vesper, but Mathis sits here and listens, and Mathis is more refined agent. Like, he's been in the Desembiru longer than Bond's been a 00, right?
Yeah.
And he sits there and he hears Bond go on this long idea of morality, and he thinks that, all right, well, this is very interesting. And you have the resignation, what he calls it in the bullet in the revolver, which is a murder suicide, which you can take at any point. And if you resign, you commit a murder suicide, and there's your big power movie. Oh, you leave a big gap in your country and all this other stuff. But then he's going to say, even if you do that, you're going to be disappointed when you find out that even after Lashif, there's more bad people in this world. In fact, Lashif is not even close. And when you go back to M, he'll tell you another bad person needs to be done. And if you really want to become a hero and you want to do good, the fact is that you kill one or you get rid of one, another one just takes its place. And all of your idea of what good morality is nothing if you just murder suicide your own career or what you're trying to do in light of some superior morality that you think you have at this moment. And the actuality is you don't. And there's plenty of bad people in here. So your cause is just, even at this moment, you don't think that your cause is just. So I love all that part. And in the film, I get why they do it, because not everyone wants to hear an ethics or talk about it. And I know I get a bunch of shit sometimes for getting too much into my podcast, and getting into the weeds, things like that, and saying that people don't want to get into that. And I get that, because not everyone wants to do that. But I just, for me, I get a big Bond boner, right?
Well, I mean, I think the thing is too with, and you said it right, is I think in Casino Royale, he needs his epiphany needs to be a morality thing. And then down the line, once he's like, you know what, I can't get out of this. This is just my life. Then if you want to kind of like try to use a woman as a scapegoat, be like, oh, maybe this is my out. Next film, maybe she's my out. Go for it. But I think in the film, which, don't get me wrong, still fantastic, I think it was just a little premature.
I agree.
I
agree. So I'm voting for you, buddy. 5-4 novel.
Yep. Okay.
Death of Vesper. Let's go
Yes.
in. Do you want me to start again, or do you want to start this time?
I'll start it. Novel, 100%. Because it was gruesome and it was mysterious and it was, interesting. It was like he comes back and she's dead and there's a note, where in the film you're kind of sitting there and you're watching it, and and if even not having read the film before the movie came out, I knew that that was what was supposed to happen. And the way they did it in the film was kind of like, you M says it like she must have known she was going to her death. Well, she wasn't, because he had killed everybody. Mr. White's like standing 3 buildings away. He's not doing shit and he doesn't seem to care to.
Yeah.
And she's in this thing, and you've now eliminated every threat around you. And it's to the point where it's like, it's not even like you don't know, like physically there is not a human around that is going to harm you. And I am here, and you lock yourself in and allow yourself to drown. It's like, you didn't really need to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, now you're not trusting me at all, when back to the last point, I've put so much trust in this woman that I do not know, that I'm willing to quit my job and question my whole life because of her. And she's like, well, I did this one bad thing, and I know, like, if I come out of this cage, he's going to be really pissed. So let's just die. Where it's like in the novel, it's like, it's almost fucked up. It's
Yeah.
like, she's like, there's no getting out of this. It's a life of regret and looking over my shoulder. And I don't know how he's going to react, because in the novel, he's kind of indifferent towards her for most of it. He's kind of like, why are you here? You're a pain in the ass.
Mhm.
Why'd you get kidnapped? You're once again causing problems.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they have their day in the sun when they're, a couple days on vacation or whatever. But I just think in the film, the way they portrayed it, with him literally willing to give up everything to sail around the world, as he literally says, with her for the rest of his life, until one of them has to get an honest job, and that'll have to be you. Like, he's planning his life with you.
Yeah.
And he's saved your life. There's nobody in this sinking building but the two of you. And you're like, no, with the freaking water bubbles. And then it's just like, yeah. And then you can see her little mask if you look close. I just thought the novel, it's just, you kind of turn the page and you're like, shit. Like, she was just like, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done. I just thought, it's not that the novel does it so much better, because they're both well written, and the novels is a little less substance to it. It's just kind of like, she's dead and
Mhm.
there's a note, and this is what the note says. But I think it was just more along the lines of like a realistic thing, or the reasoning making more sense. I think the novel did it better.
I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you, because I thought the film, it felt like an add-on, and I thought, oh, they probably added that. That wasn't even in the novel. I thought that was, oh, that's probably something they added, like the plane or whatever else they added.
Right.
Um, and then you watch it and you try to think about, okay, well, I mean, your life isn't online. Is it the guilt? Is it all that? We're trying to hear her internal dialogue or try to guess what's going through her mind. And it just doesn't quite hit the mark the way that the novel does. You have the fear of the person with the eye patch following in the car, right? And they try to do that as they're on the boat and they see the person with the one eye, right?
Right.
But it doesn't have the same effect as the novel does. When the novel, you have the impending doom. You almost can feel it, right? And
Right.
Bond does this a lot too in the novels, where he kind of dismisses women's intuition, right? And it's to a folly. Again, his misogyny in that point is very much on
Right.
point. You must think I'm a stupid girl. No, darling, no.
No, Smash. I do
You're
not.
just not in it. And her intuition, she knows she's coming, but and then the phone call comes, and he still has to start questioning, and then she lies about the phone call when he comes back from there, and things start piling on and piling on and piling on. And they try to do it a little bit in the film when she gets the text and she looks differently, but it's so much better in the novel. And then
Yeah.
at the end, you've got the suicide, and she just knew she was dead no matter what, right? She was going to get killed no matter what. And
Yeah.
there was no point in dragging you into it. And she did it for him. And it was the same story they used in Quantum, was that she had a boyfriend who was kidnapped and she was doing it to save his life,
Yeah.
which, it was good. But I just, to me, the way they fleshed it out, the way they end it, and just the suicide at the end, and it just made more sense for me. Hands down, it was a novel.
Yeah. My last kind of thought on that too is, the way she's portrayed in the film, she's at least putting on the front that she's his equal, and she, after their train conversation, she walks away and he literally is thinking like, what the hell just happened? Holy shit. Um, but even to the point, and I keep thinking in the hotel room in Italy, when she gets out of bed, she's putting her dress on. She's got this kind of look on her face where she's just like not like my shit doesn't stink thing, but like she's literally going to do something horrible
Yeah.
and she doesn't bat an eye. And in the novel, she kills herself, and you're kind of like, she was way more innocent in the novel, and you can sit there and think like, is this a portion of the film or the book where you're like, this has literally got to be because she has been witness to so many unbelievable things throughout the span of this novel, to where even if she were to somehow make it out alive from all this, she's probably like, mentally, I'm like completely damaged now.
Yeah.
But it's like in the film, they could have done, like, if they had actually made her, I mean, in a sense, she does kill herself in the film, but if she had done it the same way she did in the novel, that would almost take like this facade she puts on all film long of being like his equal, being a badass, like, I'm not going to give you the money, blah blah blah, and he grabs her and she can like put up with her, deal, fend for herself, and she's laying in the street and makes this deal for his, all these things that she does like as a very independent kind of badass woman. And then at the very end, you see it was all a facade.
Yeah.
Like that could have made the film even better. So I think just it's kind of a no-brainer too with this one. Like the way she does it in the novel just makes more sense.
Yeah. I almost find when I get to the end and in the sinking house and all that stuff, I kind of feel like, okay, let's wrap this up now. Because then I really like the ending where he's like, how he's got the gun and he's like, all right, Bond, James Bond. I mean, that's a badass ending, which I do love that ending. But
yes,
as opposed to just saying the bitch is dead. Again, loved both, but I like that part better. But for the Vesper and the way they do it, and I like that he talks about when she ebbs and flows between being obsessed with him in the moments and then being cold and being distant when they make love. And then that one night after, he's like, I would have married you. And she's like, I feel beyond guilty. I'm going to let myself go. And then almost at that point, she decides she's going to kill herself, and she's going to give herself one more guilt-free night of just bliss with him. And then after they're done, she cries in the pillow, and he's like, I don't know what to do with this. She's constantly turning. And then he goes into his own room and leaves her be for that night. And that's when she kills herself. And you can almost picture her crying as she writes the note, and knowing at one point she says, yeah, I know you're only 2 days away, but I'll lose my strength, and I know you'll come save me.
It's tragic.
Yeah, it really is. It definitely makes you feel more pity for sure her situation and what she was forced to do. And you hear Bond's side too, is like, yeah, I understand you're doing this for me, but I'm trying to think of all my colleagues that you've killed and alongside all the ciphers. And he talks about how he's out there putting his blood, sweat, and tears and life on the line to get this information, only to have it put on a train on a silver platter to the enemy by this same woman. Like he's out there risking his life to get this intel. He's out there doing everything he can for his country, only to have this girl go and give it away. And it's almost at that point that Mathis's words return, talking about, look, if you want to get rid of one bad guy, there's plenty more. And he talks about how the bad guy was at my elbow the entire time. And that point of just hardening him and realizing his purpose again, I think really ties the entire story back together. So for that, for me, absolutely novel.
Yep. Well said.
All right. Moment of truth.
6-4?
The tally. 6-4 for both of us. We both have the novel at 6-4. Now I've done I've done a couple of these before, and it's always interesting for people to go into, everyone I've done this with now, they go into thinking what they like better, and then they start going piece by piece by piece, and then they realize, you know what, I actually like that piece better done. But we're voting now, not just piece by piece, but it's always interesting to see when you go by that how it would be. But on the whole, as an entirety, as an entire entity, you've got a choice, Fleming or film. What are you taking?
Oh man. So although this is probably my favorite film, I will have to go with Fleming for this.
You're going with Fleming.
I think I'm going to.
I gotta say, I am shocked.
Yeah, me
I am
too.
shocked.
And you hit the nail, and you're a good host because I am just as shocked as you. Just as shocked. It's just some of the detail, man. It's just hard. It's hard to. And you were right about pitying her in the film, in the novel. In the film, I'm like, what a bitch. Like, why does she do that? Like, so selfish.
Yeah.
And in the novel, you're like, wow, like, damn. But I
Yeah.
mean, man, it's yeah.
Well, buddy, I gotta tell you, Casino Royale and From Russia with Love always go back and forth as my favorite films.
Me too.
However,
me too.
Before I started this, I didn't know it was going to be either, but I'm going to join you, buddy. I just think the story
Wow.
of Fleming's Casino Royale, the story start to finish, the way he brings it all back together. And for me, the deciding point for me was I really love Casino Royale. I love watching it.
Mhm.
But the way you tie it in and the way Bond has this whole journey he has at the end, even after the mission, of morality, and even Vesper goes through her own journey of morality. And there's this whole question about when you get into this dark world, when you get into these dark things, there are things that you go through and things that go through your mind that a film can never portray. And the way that Fleming attacks these things, the way he does it with such grace, with such detail, and with such poignancy, for me, Fleming wins.
You're right, dude. You once again, I was thinking when we were talking about the chase scene, I was like, how do you show that on film? How do you show his inner dialogue on film? I think the only thing they could do was like maybe him calling Tanner and M and telling them what's going on from the car,
Mhm.
and just being like, I fucking told you, you never should have sent this you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's about all they can do. And in that moment, I mean, I guess it could have worked, but like there's just things in the novel that just I don't know how you do on film. So
Yeah.
well said. Well said.
All right,
Wow.
buddy. Well, it's been a rough journey. I know it's been
Yeah.
it's been a good episode. It's been a lot of thoughts brought through, and
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I love this. This was such a fun episode for me.
Me too.
I
dude.
love talking to you, Luke, for any reason, but
You too, buddy.
this was a lot of fun to do. So thank you so much for coming on, Luke Taggert. He's got like 15 million things going on. All right,
Yes,
and they're
unfortunately,
all
yes.
fantastic, and I'm sure
Thank
that
you.
everybody listening is watching that as well. So thank you so much. This has been Fleming versus Film, a 6-4 and an overall win for Fleming for Casino Royale. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of people are probably going to be surprised with that, Luke. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much as always. Fantastic guest, and please follow everything that he does.
Thanks, bud.
If you like what you saw, then hit that subscribe button. Comment down below and leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Why are you not hitting that subscribe button?